Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's it going, Nestor?
I'm doing pretty well. Okay, let me. No, it's good.
No, I feel right. Yeah,
So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. So today we have a very excited, a really exciting topic,
Yeah.
and it's the what if we can go anywhere.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's so powerful, you know.
yeah. Especially in the time of COVID, right? This is a question I love exploring for years now, usually with students, but it's one I was really excited to revisit now because of the time of COVID, where we think so often about how travel or our ability to go places even has been changed so radically. So I'm wondering how we can think more radically about what it means to go somewhere. Does it? So yeah, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this question and what other ideas and questions or actions can come out of exploring this idea of what if you could go anywhere.
Yeah, one thing. Yeah, one thing that it is really interesting is we as humans, when we hear the question, what if you can go anywhere, we used to relay that question to another WH question that is where.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will add something that is something that I think you will like it. What if we change the where for when?
I like this.
You know,
Yeah.
and anywhere is not just about where,
Mhm.
but when. You know, that, oh my god, really opens
Mhm.
my mind. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that?
No, I love it because you're playing with the words, you're playing with these question words, even more importantly, and that's kind of the spirit of what if, right? Um, but yeah, no, I definitely like it because it again has you thinking of something familiar in a very new way. But also, I think it was our last talk. It also, when you talk about when, at least in my mind, it comes with, as our friend Colin Bunch would say,
Oh yeah,
a bias toward action, right? So when you put that when in there, it's like, well, it's either now, it's either now or never, or it's now or later. But you're putting some sort of go time, right? So yeah, it's not just a where to go, but a when to go. I like it. Yeah.
yeah. They went to go. I recall the movie Back to the Future, and that's quite amazing because I remember a couple scenes of the movie when Doctor was asking to Marty, "Hey, where do you want to go?" And he said like, "Hey, Marty, it's not about where, it's when."
Man.
And I, oh my god, that's so powerful because the cool thing is when you change the template, actually, where we are thinking, and you expand the template, and I say, okay, I would like to go where, I don't know, the
Mhm.
line, uh, specifically when this happened, or
Okay.
when this will happen, or something like that. I think as an entrepreneur, if we blend both things, we say, "Oh my God, I might be in the right where, but I would like to be in a positive and in a very nice when in the future." I don't know. That I was really thinking really hard about this topic because it's not that simple, you know.
No. Well, and listening to you right there, it made me, I wrote it down, thinking of another fun question to ask somebody where, it could be just for life in general, or if you have a business or developing a technology, ask them like, and maybe I did this in the book of What If, but I was like, ask them, all right, you have a time machine. So,
Okay.
and you want to find out like the secret to success or the secret to whatever for your business, but you have to make a choice. You can only go to the past or to the future. which direction would you use it for and why? So like, let's say you can use it, but you can only use it once. So you can go to a specific point in the past or a specific point in the future. Because I don't know which way I would choose, but whichever one, you'd have to come up for a reason why. So is it more valuable to learn from the past? Or would it be more valuable to bring something from the future back to now? Yeah. But
Yeah.
But when you think about that, before I go too far, like imagine though, if you think of the effect of this, if you brought this to the past 500 years ago, this would be useless, not only to you, but even to the, you know, I mean, to everybody. So it is interesting. So like if you were to go really far in the future, or even in the future, what you learned, could you even use it today? Or do you have to wait until, yeah. But there's a lot of interesting questions, but I'd be curious to hear what people thought if they would use this time machine. Like now that you're talking about when would you go, right? When would you go? Would you go in the past or the future? And what would you try to learn? Like what would be your reasoning for going there? So what would be the specific thing you'd hope to learn or to get or to gather from that place? Yeah.
Yes, I'm thinking, no,
Yeah,
and I think I would love to go, yeah, to the past, you know, but not just in a specific time frame, but I would love to go to the past when I would say when. Oh my God! I have so I really enjoy history that oh my God, I'm having a really hard time. But let's pick one. I would say I would love to go to the past. Yeah, at the time where Ramses was a ruler of the world, you know, and why that specific time? Because I think that. Pharaoh, that's the word. It's Pharaoh, Ramses. He was. I think he was in charge, not just of thousands of people, maybe on the millions, but as well he was in charge of a large amount of scientifics and engineers of that time that still now really amaze me, and many engineers around the world. I would like to know not just the how he built this huge infrastructure in Egypt, but why. I will ask Ramses, hey, why are you doing this? What's the reason behind spending pretty much all the resources that you have on hand, and the resources that maybe your people won't have anymore in the coming years? But why are you doing this? And I think if we understand the whys of these wise people, maybe we'll be able to understand our own why, you know, or at least to add some value to the why we are here, to the why we do these things in a rush time, in a rush manner sometimes. That will be my pick. What about you?
Good question. I'm still thinking about. You said something I think would make the title of a great book, which was the whys of wise people. I don't know how we'd get the answers, but maybe it's just a question book. But it'd be very interesting to think about, to explore all of these wise people from the past, maybe who did strange things or things that we can't understand today, and explore or wonder why did they do it? What drove them? It's funny, but as far as when I would go back to, that's a good question. I don't know. Wasn't it? I keep thinking, isn't it in Back to the Future when he goes back and, but they have the outcomes of all the games. So then he goes back and then he bets on all the games, becomes super rich, right? I guess that's the easy
Yeah.
So the idea is that you don't go back in time just to get rich quick. You got to learn something, right? So if I were to go back and to learn something, boy, that's a good question. And when you went to like the ancient Egyptians, you made it even more difficult. He was like, I wasn't even thinking that far back. I was thinking, but you know what? It would be, you know what? I'm gonna throw you for a loop here. Something I never thought about before. I would like to actually, you know what? I would like to go back to my early childhood. So like I was born in the mid 70s, right? And you might say, well, why? You've already lived it, right? But the thing is I have a very like a set memory of what that time was like, right? But it's also confined by my perspective as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or right. I'd be really curious to see what that would be like as an adult, like what the 80s, like what 1980 look like as a 45-year-old. Because then when I came back to today, how would my world look differently if I had the perspective of 1980, let's say,
Okay.
from the perspective of a 5-year-old, but also from a 45-year-old? Would that in some way, would I be able to like synthesize those two perspectives in a way that would give me very valuable perspective today? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, totally makes sense.
because we've only seen, and because it's funny too, I always laugh when we go, oh, that person is alive during this event or whatever else, right? Well, for example, I was alive when the last president of the United States was shot. Like Ronald Reagan was shot by, like we think we're crazy today with politics, right? But guess what? I don't remember any of it because I was like 5 years old, right? So my entire view or understanding of politics today, I may have been alive when that happened, but that doesn't inform my understanding or anything, right? But somebody who was alive at that time, who was like 30 years old, has a very different perspective today that I don't, but I assume we have the same perspective because we were alive at the same time, right? And I wonder how much like misunderstanding we have, not just with each other, but even with ourselves, comes from this disconnect between the age we were when we went through that experience.
Okay, and I think, and I was doing some notes, taking some note here. If we think in terms of, and I will paraphrase, and I will call this idea from Albert Einstein. You know, it's
take it from
yeah. If we think in terms of logic, you know, we can go from A to B, and I would say, I would rephrase the thing. Albert Einstein used to say, logic will take you from A to B, but imagination and curiosity will take you from A to anywhere. You know, and then, and that's the headline, no? But then when you read more about Einstein, he used to say, hey, but the anywhere is not just about where, it's about when. I think now, if we think in terms of the Earth, you know, our planet, some places, you know, are like 10 years behind us, and others are like 10 years before us, you know. When you and I think, and this is I think this is one so powerful thing that we are losing because the COVID and the restrictions that we have now, is that actually we are losing the opportunity to see how far we can go, and how far actually we are in comparison to other people, other towns, other countries, geographies, cultures. And that's so important, you know, to be able to share and to be able to ask questions to people in different cultures. That I think that's the most I think that's the thing that really scare me. It is not just going to vacation and now to go to the beach and taking a jet and that kind of crazy stuff, the cliche thing about traveling, but it's actually we are having a really hard time and it's not just because the economy is not moving. And I think it is our brains are not moving. Maybe we have these tools that, in theory, we use virtual reality and we can go everywhere. But I think we take for granted so many times, as for so long, the possibilities, to move from any country to the other one, that we lost. I think that we lose the why. I think that the why I should go to another place, the why I should, go to the front door, open the door, and just go to the next block. What are my neighbors doing? What's this guy that I haven't seen in months doing in his workshop? And it's not just the final product, that now is on the web and everybody has Instagram and all kind of crazy social media stuff, but the why. And I think we are losing the why if we don't go places or maybe or times. That's the kind of
well, and you're so true. Like humans, we're social animals, and there's something about sharing the same physical space that's important. And I know you personally, you and I both, we love traveling just in general, but like you mentioned, it's rarely for like vacation. We may enjoy the places we go, but it's usually connected to something about work or doing something, but there's still something just to changing your environment, even the slightest, I think, or being around people, both people but also people you don't know. When you go to a place that you're not familiar with, your brain activates and you become more aware of things. You learn new things, right? You question old things, and I think that becomes increasingly difficult if you can rarely leave your room or your apartment. And then like what you mentioned too about like your neighbors and everything else, where like how do you have a community? How do you really have a community if everybody's confined? Right? If nobody can leave, if nobody can gather, if it's difficult, I guess technically you can, but it's restricted or it's difficult. But it is interesting. What does community building look like, or what in a COVID world? What does how do we cope with, or how do we adjust to these other things? I have my own thoughts, but I think once we understand the disease better, I think the restrictions will change. I think with science, I think we can change some of this, but in the time being, and maybe we even need to be asking here's a great what if, is how do we anticipate? We can't predict the future, but how do we anticipate the future, right? What if instead of complaining and worrying about right now, what if we start asking the questions or thinking about the problems next year or 2 years? Like, what are the side effects of an entire generation, missing their senior year of high school or their senior year of college? Or what's going to be the impact of an entire generation of students learning remotely for 2 years of their 12-year learning experience, and not only learning remotely, but doing it while their teachers are learning how to do it, right? So in many ways, it's like there could be, for lack of a better term, an entire gap of learning. And we know learning is cumulative over the time. And I'm not to bring it all doom and gloom, but how do we cope with that next year? What are the outcomes of that, right? I don't hear a lot of people exploring that, but anyway, back to the whole win. Yeah, maybe that now we are thinking about win. Yeah, we're thinking about the future, but how can we use today? How can we use now to start, looking at and exploring those issues of tomorrow in a proactive way? I'd be curious.
Yeah, that really calls many thoughts in my mind now, and I was thinking, hey, the people actually is looking this video this, or maybe this recording, and maybe some people will ask, hey, but what about the resources that to be able to go anywhere? And one thing that I used to say to my students, or maybe my clients as well, it's the anywhere. It's not just about how far it is, it's how far do you let yourself to think that is the word, and you can take small steps, and I think this is something that is a personal stuff. That is, you can take baby steps. What if you can go anywhere just now, around the block, or maybe tomorrow, Saturday, or Friday, or Sunday, or next Sunday, around your city, in your own neighborhood, to the public park as well, and you let yourself just stand in some specific place, without any specific destination. It's not about I'm going to from A to B. No, I'm in A now, and I have the option to move to the right, to the left, to the front, back, and you start to explore your surroundings, and giving you the opportunity to be amazed, not just for big stuff, but as well for the smallest things on the road, and I was thinking, the last time, like 2 years ago, when I just closed a period in my life, that it was a very nice job, and I said, okay, I will travel for 2 months, and actually I got the ticket for the I just got the ticket, no more, not a single booking for hotels, even I haven't booked the car. I wasn't thinking, okay, I will rent a car or I will go by bus. I don't know. And in those 2 months, just giving myself the opportunity to move from different places. Of course, I met with friends from the past.
Yeah.
But I get to see and to meet with so many people that it's so amazing now that I'm in contact with them.
Nice.
And even some celebrities here in my country.
Wow.
I get to meet one of the ambassador of my country in the US.
Oh, wow.
But it was without a very specific destination on my mind, but I was just letting myself to be on the road, and just have the why. And I'm thinking, okay, what's the reason behind this? I want to meet with different people. I want to explore opportunities. I want to take of course, some rest of a very hard work that I did for many years. And beyond that, after the travel, one thing that is so powerful for me that I really learned, it's not about how far you are from home, but it's how far you are from your beliefs, from the hard truths in your life. If you cut with this hard truth in your life and you open the door to possibilities, the where might be just on the next door. You never let yourself the opportunity to be there, and that is something that for entrepreneurs, for teachers, for professors, for leaders of the world, it's okay. Just don't be a slave of your personal space. Be a guest of your personal space, and let invite people, invite the good energy of everybody, and make the where not just the where you want, but maybe the where that many people would like to be. That's.
I like that. Yeah.
I think this is a topic so powerful that, my God,
I love
we can write like a book just about this stuff.
We already have the wise of wise people, but what you said, like, what if you be a guest in your personal space? I just wrote that. That gives me plenty of thoughts to keep thinking about. that is an interesting thought. It goes in many, many different directions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and for example, yesterday, my God, NASA.
Yeah.
Now we are Mars, And today, one of my students today, he said, "Oh my God, hey, professor, that means that now we are moving from Google Earth to Google Mars." I know. Oh my God, that's so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to map
Mars.
the universe.
Oh yeah, but Mars isn't enough. We got to map the universe. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That really changed the mindset.
Yeah. Well, how soon before Elon Musk puts a Tesla on Mars? It's not a question of the first man on Mars. It's a question of the first Tesla on Mars.
Yeah, the first Tesla.
As soon as we land a Tesla on Mars, I know we're there.
Yeah,
but
I think
the person who doesn't think in terms or logical terms or terms of where, right? Or or he's always challenging the where. Yeah. So there, it is interesting when you look at, and he's got very specific why. It's interesting. Actually, it came out. Was it Bill Gates just yesterday made a claim about that Elon Musk or Tesla, even more specifically, should be recognized as I forget the exact quote. I should look it up. But like the greatest achievement for environmental whatever for cleaning the environment or whatever else, right? Making the revolution, the green revolution. And it's just interesting because when you really investigate people's whys, I think 9 out of 10 people, if you ask what the why is behind the richest person on the planet, they're going to say money, greed, or all of this other. But if you look at it, it's actually about saving the planet or saving the species. And when you listen to him talk, Elon Musk talk about going to Mars, it's not like, hey, let's go to Mars so I can make money. It's like, let's go to Mars because as a species, we may need to in order to survive. And I think a lot of people overlook that. So it is funny if, what if you want to be the richest person on the planet? Money is none of your why. Yeah, you've got to focus on something else and just excel at doing that really well. It's not logical, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. Oh my God, I really enjoy. Oh my God, and I really wait really hard for this time of the week just to have this conversation with you. And I have friends saying, "Oh my God, maybe I don't have the time to connect the broadcast, but I have people that actually is watching our videos, asking questions, and I think that's the important thing is not that we have the, and this program is not about answers,
No.
It's about questions. It's about how do you create more questions? How do you open your mind to curiosity? How you are curious about topics that maybe the way we've been working a bit, the way we've been learning are so close.
Yeah.
I think that's my goal in this program, this conversation with you, is to provide people with tools so they can open their mind, and of course let themselves be curious about everything. That is not it's about the thing that you're being told that you can be curious about this, not this. Just let yourself be curious about anything, not so nice.
Wherever or whenever it takes you, right?
Yeah, that's oh my God, you nailed it.
Yeah.
So Matt, so nice to see you today.
I love these Fridays. So yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, me too. Oh my God. So enjoy your weekend and see you next week, Matt.
You the same.